All right. Good morning. Been another 2 weeks, so let's see how things have progressed. So starting back here again, haven't really done much with this area, but all the same, it's better to start here so that this stays in contrast. Just adding little things here and there. It's never bad. So coming back to here, I've gotten this tree completely under control. So that's managed. Grab stick, because I've taken to walking with the tool. So done a lot of progress on the greenhouse. That's been a major project, and this week I'm not actually going to go over that too much because that's a little off of what I want this to be about, but that's what's going on. Got bones, we got creek still bone dry. And I guess I wanted to talk a little bit about walking sticks. I mean, I did in the last video because I took this, but it's useful to have something that you can maneuver space. It just helps you up and down slight inclines. Um, just having a third range of connection to the ground makes you more stable. So it's useful in a bunch of ways like that. It can also be used for vaulting creeks and such, giving you a foot in the creek without actually having to get your feet wet. So yeah, just kind of kept this up, keeping the grass and whatnot at bay is super important. Gonna notice something in the next video here around here. So yeah, everything's really green, everything's just going. So yeah, it's a lot. There's some just additional growth as plants do. The paths here updated a little bit. Wanted to come back here because the elderberries are ripe, so you can see here. And over here as well. Those are all ripe and ready. I did pick some, did freeze some. It's great to have, especially if you're any kind of sick. They help a lot, especially if you make it into a syrup. It can be more concentrated, especially into a tea or other hot beverage. Does wonders for your immune system and your throat. But I'm not a doctor, so take everything I say with a grain of salt and don't take anything I say as medical advice or any kind of advice to do with your life. Because this life is so vastly different from the average experience. So here we go. Further through here, little improvements here and there as always, but they're so minimal it's hard to point out. Like a branch is missing that you wouldn't notice, or like just little things. Every time I walk through, I'll notice something a little bit different, something a little bit changeable to improve, so it gets improved. I have a friend coming out this coming week, so we'll see how that changes my view on what I can do here. It'll be nice. So, because I don't think I've really had an outside person take a look at this yet and really actually try to traverse it. But we'll see. Did a lot of work with these sticks here. exporting them out and away. So that involved recreating some of these bridges. So there's going to be a small highlight of that. And here, stick absolutely got me because I wasn't paying attention. I still have no idea how I can't believe how much a simple ball cap will restrict your vision. It's uncanny. Had no idea. But all the same. Also trying to walk with the purpose of recording a thing that you have no idea where it's actually seeing. So you're getting something akin to what I'm seeing, but it's, you know, up here pointing down-ish. So it's hard to say what I'm shooting versus what you're seeing. So it's always good to get this perspective. I got stuck on something. So got our little frog pond. They're doing good. Yeah. They're one of the highlights of my walk now. Just hanging over, seeing all the frogs. Because they need the water. So they're going to be where the water is. But I've seen so many toads in this past 2 weeks. It's been great. A lot of the little ones that are barely the size of a penny. Yeah. That's a concept that I didn't realize. Pennies are getting obsoleted, so people aren't going to know what that is. But that's a problem for future me. So yeah, I've just kind of clipped that corner, not really going over to the bramble area at all because that's a mess and not something I want to deal with. Haven't done anything over there, so very little has changed in that. Got a nice cone going in this path. Kind of like it, kind of hate it. I'm constantly struggling between have a really nice path and have all of it be open and traversable. So, bless me. There's so much to do if I want to open everything up. But there's only so much I can do. And I've been focusing more close to the house and everything lately. Thinking more on like starting back at the beginning, as I mentioned in the previous, and going forward. But like I said, I'm starting in the greenhouse, and that doesn't really fit the theme here. So that's going to be a completely separate project. One that probably won't have its own video series. So getting through here. Another weird part of the walking stick is it gives you a height concept unless you use it in the European way. I think it might be specifically Germanic, but they use their walking sticks a little different. Usually they're set up like skis and they go behind you. That way of walking gives you your muscles the concept like they're running. It's super interesting, but it's just a different way to use sticks in your walking. So using a walking stick the way you normally do, it gives you a good height barrier if you are going to walk into something, your stick will likely collide with it first. So, I don't know. I have it because I've just been seeing a lot of coyote poop, so I want to make sure I have a tool at least, just in case they get any ideas, but you never know. So, just kind of progressing. Haven't really done a whole lot here, just kind of like upkeep, keeping the grass down, or weeds, or whatever you want to call them. So, that's pretty much it for here. Sorry about that. I should probably mute this. Dude. That's probably a little bit better. Sound is such an interesting thing because I wish you could pick up the forest noise, the wind through the trees, the critters, the bugs, all of the just ambient noise that the forested areas have. It's a shame, really, that it doesn't come through and just comes through as a kind of staticky garble. But I guess that's normally a hard thing to do. Maybe I could try to like actually isolate it and see if I can't like boost it and get that as a background noise for when I'm streaming. It wouldn't be real, but it would be at least something that would kind of give more flavor to what I'm doing. Because background music's always important for video games, and it's good to see that kind of thing like get implemented. Still trying to keep this up. As you can see, the knotroot is still a problem. Creek's still bone dry here, which it luckily isn't in the next video. So just coming back, pulling up, and I forget where I stop here. I think it might be in that. So we cut down this tree in the last week. Okay, yeah. Boop. So one moment. I switch over. Pop. Pop. All right. So back here, got my hand scythe that I'm walking with today. Kind of that whole concept of walking through and having a tool so that I can have the right tool some of the time. Because if you just don't carry a tool, there's nothing that can happen. This is kind of settled into an of its space. Going down here as I've trimmed through that is Mao. One of the local cats we have. It's nice to have active outdoor cats. The water has returned. And yeah, I know a lot of people aren't a fan of outdoor cats because they kill a lot of local wildlife. But living where I do, I kind of need that. We have a lot of rodent issues that come indoors. They're not great at catching birds. The fledglings, they'll get caught once or twice, but then ultimately the birds start yelling at the cats incessantly to the point where the cat is just like done with the whole situation. So it it does kind of balance itself out right here. So I mentioned a little while ago that something plant-like, there's an issue here. These have grown little spiky balls that they use to spread their seed. So that sucks. We didn't need something like burdocks, but these are actually spiky, whereas burdocks, they're kind of itchy, but you don't really notice them. Like if you get burdocks, you're kind of like, oh, shit. But like these, they actually like poke, so that sucks. Not a big fan of that. But yeah, outdoor cat's kind of useful in this setup. Keeps mice, chipmunks, squirrels at bay. The we have a local bunny that like actually hangs out with us, and it's not intimidated at all by the cats. It will run at them. So just getting a bite of elderberry there. Continuing on. Um, but I can see where um, having cats in a more modern area would create some issues as there's less wildlife there to endure. However, with rat problems, I could see it going the other way again, but that's me. Um, Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. So, moving on here. Um, Always kind of concerned about that one little space because there's a elderberry bush, but it is so sad and it's right in the way. And I want to keep it alive and keep it going, but there's not a lot I can do for it. So it did rain. You can see some raccoon tracks in the mud. Always a little pleasure I get out of uh, taking these walks. Glad to see water in the creek. Even if it's not flowing yet, that's still like showing that the water level is coming back into something that's reasonable. Um, kind of keeping this space up, trying to move stuff out of here. I don't think I did much of anything in the path. It's just kind of like checking the growth and bringing the Hansai along helps to deal with some of this as I can quickly just like see something in the way and chop it out as I rarely bring this tool this far back. It's usually more of when I'm just kind of like purposefully clearing an area. But I remembered gloves, I remembered a tool, so I'm happy with that. Because you'll get different outlying branches that I've just been kind of brushing past. I'd rather not have it touch me. Again, that's how ticks happen, is they will climb up to a high area where an animal will brush past and just kind of wait. So if you touch the thing the tick is on, and the tick is on you. So better to be touching as little of the nature as I can when I can. Like, it would be so great to have this kind of nature and just run through and do everything, but poison ivy exists, and poison oak exists, and poison sumac exists, and ticks exist. So it's hard, and all the thorn bushes. That's the kind of stuff I want to eliminate, but I can't exactly get rid of ticks. I just have to hope that we get more possums. They're good friends. Big fan of the possum. Um, because we do have the trinity of the trash cats. We've got possums and skunks and raccoons all in this area. They are good friends. The skunks are actually the ones I care about the most, as far as like they don't help out as much and they have a high level of problems that come with them. But skunks and raccoons will knock over produce and other plants that are growing in efforts to eat them themselves. So I can't really blame them, but it does make things hard for, keeping that stuff separate from them. But fencing is important. And I have to rebuild some fencing soon. Got to think about that one. I love the the concept of the sticks that come down and cross, and then you've got one holding those two up. But, so in theory, it's hard enough to get the appropriate stick for that kind of thing. So these have been in my way a lot. They are dead for the most part. Uh, Ones that are alive but drooping have issues. So now, without that weight, that branch is going to lift and go back to something that is more healthy for the plant, even. So before, if it's like, drooping, and then I can cut off a little bit and it goes back to this, all for it. So, um, other quick techniques with the hand scythe. Uh, Generally, you're going to like find a cutting point, bend that in half, and then create a slash for that. Because if you just slash at, you're going to get a cut, but it likely won't cut through. It's not made for that. Unless they're small, like these little things that I've been like hooking and just kind of pulling. It's great for those. So you can just go right up against a branch that has a bunch and knock those off. So it just further makes the path a little bit nicer. Minimal effort, like just taking this walk is going to be good enough for that. So I was thinking often about um I feel like some people think you have to be strong to be doing this kind of work. And especially like with some of the um bigger efforts in that I've been doing lately. You'll see these bigger trees and things and different like piles of wood that I've moved and changed, but it all starts with these little sticks that anyone can pick up. And you just move them around. So if you clear out the sticks, eventually you get to bigger sticks and even bigger sticks until like you're carrying bundles, and then you can carry one big piece of wood and drag that, or then you can lift it, and then it is incremental in ways that aren't clear when you're doing it. So it builds a really robust set of muscles, and poison bits have grown in here and it's just a mess. Rosebush and poison oak or poison ivy have grown in, so this is frustrating. But glad I'm taking this walk through and getting rid of as much as I can, because that's always a problem. Bonus points for wearing gloves, bonus points for using a tool. But yeah, so the incremental work of yard work and forestry is really nice, and I feel like that is a more authentic way to engage with muscles and musculature and being the best kind of human form that you can be. It's good. It's unlike other things, unlike games. That's not something that really shows up or shows up well. Like, it creates a kind of Metroidvania thing, but I feel like there isn't enough. You've been doing a thing, so you got better at it, and that fixed your progress. It's not like in Stardew, for example, you upgrade to the next tool, and then that is your progress. Like, sure, that could happen. A tool can get you to the next tier of progress. But sometimes just getting better at what you're doing upgrades you to the next tier of progress. Like, I'm a big fan of when that's possible. Because sometimes you just do stuff enough to get better at it. And I've been trying to do that more of just like, I need to work on this. Cutting out stumps was the one in this week specifically. So I started working on one, and I had chopped up a stump before, but it was really old and dead and rotten, and that worked. But this time it was very new and live and healthy. So I needed to try something different. So I did some thinking, and I was like, well, I can carve out the roots, I can cut those up, and I can get that out. Because if the roots aren't there, there's nothing really to hold it. Little did I know that you really need to be thorough with getting out all of the roots for that to be even possible. And then you're lifting up something that is super heavy. But so I can get all the roots out, and then I was able to use a jack, like a car jack, to actually push up from below on some of the root structure to get a better lift. And with that, I was able to take out these stumps of these cherry trees that were no longer producing cherries. And ultimately, this here and this here were cherry trees. And I'm so glad to be rid of these. You can see some of the root structure here. That's bigger than my arm. And that's just like one of the side roots. There were some the size of my torso, and it was really good. It really gave me appreciation for the pickaxe. I had kind of slept on the pickaxe. It was like kind of a whatever tool to me, but when you're moving ground, and it just like cuts through it like butter, and I never really appreciated that aspect of how good it is at tilling. Um, this ground was hard as a rock, and it just kind of like carved into it and made it movable and easy to like dig through. Super great. Also, having a sharp end of the axe part of the pickaxe to be able to cut through roots, phenomenal. Just 10 out of 10. Can completely understand why a pickaxe is great. Um, but also, I'm a big proponent of having one side be the like pick and the other side be like axe. So like you have the best of both worlds in that. Also gives you a horizontal versus a vertical plane to work with when you're cutting into something. Fantastic. Can't say enough good things about pickaxe. Um yeah, so thank you all for watching. I hope everyone has a good couple of weeks. We'll see what happens in the future. I'm very happy with the progress that's going through here. This has been really good. You likely won't see this area much anymore, but I did want to highlight this progress because it was so huge for me, and being able to do it mostly by hand. I mean, at the end there was a bit of getting it pulled out by a tractor, but being able to get it done without hiring someone, glorious. Like, I can handle what that did. But have a great week. Be kind to yourself, and stay active. Till next time. Peace.